All right, tonight is going to be spicy. I have a question for you. I want you to join in on the conversation, and I encourage you to do so. So, tonight's Food for Thought Go Live is going to be about the hot topic of salon pricing. And this is going to be an interactive exercise, so please join in. So just as we get started, I'm Ann Marie Walts. And who am I? I am a salon owner, ex-educator from Redken L'Oreal USA. I did that for 10 years. I'm going into my 33rd year, and I have some insights for you that I imagine if you just attempt what it is that I'm going to show you this evening, it might actually change your life behind your chair. All right, so are you ready? So, and if you are watching this, drop a hello, hey, I'm here in the comments, and let's get started. So, let's talk about hairstyling. There is the hard way to have a life behind the chair, and and that is to try to serve absolutely everyone. So by the end of this, I'm going to provide you with some concepts that for some of you might ruffle your feathers, and that is okay because change is good. And for those of you that are like, oh God, I'm so afraid about raising my prices, don't worry. I'm going to talk with you about that as well. And then we're going to get into the meat and potatoes about this, and that is about packaging your services. All right. So right now, I'm gonna bring you to this question right here. If you had to make $4,000, then would you prefer? How would you prefer to do that? Would you rather take 2.3 years making $4,000, or would you rather do that in 8 to 10 hours? So you can drop in the comments which way that if you had to right now make $4,000 for your salon, would you seriously, how many of you are really realistically, if you're going to be honest with yourself right now, put down that you rather take 2.3 years to make $4,000. All right. Now, some of the things that I'm going to lean in on, they might work for you, or you just might be, oh no, Amory, no way. That wouldn't work for me. People won't spend that. What I'm going to ask is for your permission for the time that we spend together in this it's a quick educational class I decided to drop this evening, is just to reframe. Give yourself permission to think about how to make money within your salon or spa a little bit differently. Just let it sit with you because what I'm going to share with you is actually from actual experience and some of my own stories as far as what I'm going to show you next. Okay. So, again, drop in the comments, let me know that you are here. And if this is the first time that you have watched any of my Go Lives, thank you very much. And if you have seen my stuff and been following my content, big hearts to you. Thank you so much. All right. So I'm going to give you a scenario and let's talk about this and I'm going to break it out. And before we dive into why did I pick $4,000, there's just some math behind that. All right, so let's go to the next slide. Okay, so let's talk about the traditional salon setting versus if you and when, not if, when you see this and you decide to start packaging your traditional services in a different way. I know from my own experiences that not only does it work, but I also know that through consulting and coaching other professionals that own a very large spa in the area, that it really transformed the way she's done business, as well as another hair extension stylist that wasn't really focusing on hair extensions as much and has substantially increased their income of hair extension services in addition to the traditional services. All right, so let's take a look at this. Scenario one. Say, for example, you were to charge $200 for a service. Could be a color, right? And that's a pretty average price given that it's 2025. All right. The math is we're trying to make $4,000. Now, I happen to have transitioned to hair extensions. And as far as my expertise and background in that, I've been doing that for 19 years. So I'm really excited to share this segment with you for various reasons. Because if you're not doing that, I've been where you are and I am where I am now. And I want to just bring it all together to help the community because there's always what I see over the last 20 plus years, but I've been in the business 33. I spent 10 of it out in the field teaching for Redken L'Oreal USA. So I've got some creds, okay? Is that the community needs to come together and we need to support each other. And so the whole pricing frenzy, I just wanted to actually do a class about it. So let's just break down again. Let's go back to the simple math. If you have to make $4,000 just as a mock scenario and you're charging $200 a service, and say we're going to just, for the sake of this educational uh, scenario, it would be just say one client. Okay, so we're going to do a one-to-one kind of client situation. And then say the client were to come in every 6 weeks, and the goal again is $4,000. Do you realize that you would need to service that one person, that one client, 20 visits? And at a 6 week interval, it would literally take you 2.3 years to bring in that $4,000. Okay. Now, on the higher end scenario, and I'm going to talk about this. So if you see this and you're like, oh, I'm already off, I'm not going to watch this because, oh, I could never. Please lean in because I'm going to take that away from you as well. Okay. So the high ticket scenario is this. This is a real life example. I have charged this much, but for sake of simple math, okay. Say you were able to package a very, very nice package of services that are traditional. And so, what would traditional services be? And then here's the other thing I want to remove the stigma of niche versus traditional. Because you know what? When it comes down to the end of the day, what we all do as stylists is help the people that we serve sit in our chair just feel freaking amazing, right? And so when it comes to talking about money, I totally understand that that is a very personal and private topic. So money is going to be very close and personal to your belief systems, who you've been influenced by, and I can talk more about that on a different segment, but I do want to just say that I respect any and all of you fellow stylists, and I just know from what I have learned over the course of my 33 years and 20 years, 19 years of doing hair extensions, when was it that there was a shift that I was just like, oh, I want to go do that? Okay. So here's the scenario. Pretend for a moment, allow yourself to envision, even if you have to close your eyes, what it would be like to provide a fabulous, nice, relaxing, customized makeover that was $4,000 and you were able to maximize not so much the money, even though this is about money, but your creativity. Okay. Say you didn't have to sacrifice anything. And if I'm talking to you and you're a stylist that loves to cut hair, you love to do corrective color. Well, let me tell you something. You know what the beauty about having hair extensions in your arsenal? It's like extra fabric. Anytime that you could like be able to thicken a woman's sides of her hair from, her blow drying it so much and the mechanical damage, there are plenty of women out there that will. So then let's break this down. We're all going to spend time behind our chair. Just how much time? And let's talk about time. If anything that I know amongst in the hair community is that my experiences was this. It's like, I see plenty that a lot of stylists are like, oh, I just don't have any more time. I wish I had more time. Or there's also a level of burnout at some point because in the scenario over here of trying to maximize, like making more means you have to service more people. And if that works for you, great. But what I want to do tonight is just plant some seeds that you really start thinking differently about, even if you have not yet thought about packaging even some of your color services into a series. And so then and it's okay to charge more. And now what I want to do is I'm going to talk to you a bit more about giving you another slide to look at, because as a stylist, I know I'm visual. I'm sure you're visual, right? So look at this, okay? And these are just filler prices. They don't mean anything. It was just more for a visual of, there's the conversations that I've seen that have not changed. Are you ready? The conversations about raising prices has not changed in decades. It just hasn't. And so I can talk to you from this side of things, from where I used to be, uh, trying to service everybody. And actually, I want to go back to that slide, right? This slide right here. Let me tell you something. I remember coming out of school and I just wanted to do everything I possibly could. And if you were to venture and go to my salon website, which is theloftsalonstudio.com, I'm certified in literally everything over the course of my 33 years because I didn't want to not be able, look at me, I can't even, I stutter. I didn't want to have to say no to a customer. But what I found out was this. It was 19 years ago, I stepped into a hair extension class. And when I heard the educators say, you can make $1,000 to $4,000 a service. Let me tell you, I sat there too, just like you. Some of you might be watching this right now going, oh, yeah. But that was that, oh, yeah. You know what I did? This is what I did. I told it, shut the hell up. And I leaned in because here's the thing, if somebody else before you has done something and it's worked, and, and especially like, say, a hair extension company, they've already done proof of concept. They already have their education together. They already have their case studies together. So who would be the fool to not try to lean in to see if that would actually work? So I tell you, I left changed 19 years ago, and I was at the height of my hair color education career at the time, and so it was different to switch at the time from doing all corrective hair color to leaning in towards the extensions. But the point about this is that I also want to diffuse um, some self-doubt, or even I don't know, maybe it would even be misinformation, but I'll just say self-doubt, and give some advice that I know is real, is that if you're telling yourself that it's, oh, I could never live over here. Nobody would pay for that in my area. Or if you've heard it's the economy, let me tell you something. I am literally on the same street, okay? Same street in the same small town My shop is in West Springfield, Mass. For those of you that want to look up to see that it's not a big metropolitan area, like Boston's 90 miles from me, New York City's 2.5 hours from me. So technically, I'm in the middle of nowhere, okay? So when I was across the street at the salon I used to be at years ago, probably about 23 years ago now, my haircuts were only $19. I was waiting to get my first walk-in to have a bang trim, and so that was like the one of the first few salons I worked at. So now I can share with you that through uh, going to a lot of education and surrounding, I can't tell you enough. Be sure that you surround yourself around those that are doing things that you wish you could be doing, and you listen to them. Because you know what? Soon enough, you'll be doing what it is you exactly want to be doing behind the chair as a stylist. And so, uh, I'd say it was probably about 10 years ago, maybe even 12, I'm not sure which, when I asked an acquaintance that was a hair extension educator, I was just like, hey, Lori, isn't this a fad? She said no. I said, aren't I going to run out of hair extension clients? She said no. And I said, how come? And here, are you ready? Because there's never going to be a shortage of women with fine, thin hair. So I can tell you that there's things that they don't teach you in hair extension classes that's the knowledge that I can say I have now that I had to learn on my own is the marketing. Like, and I'm going to talk about like when I first when hair extensions were making a buzz, like a little bit of a buzz, and it was the newest thing to offer back that long ago. I was naive, maybe even a little bit cocky, that I thought that if I just went and got certified by a hair extension class, that women were just going to bang down my door and pay lots of money. It doesn't work that way. And then there's other things that when it comes to being able to do the larger, more expensive packages, if you want to go down that road, then there's a certain way to do consulting, which brings me to another hot topic. And put in the comments if you right now that you yes, I offer a consult. Okay. It's important that us professional stylists that we take the time with our customers. And I think for another go live, I'm going to put something together about my paid consultation because I do charge for consultation. And that was before I was even doing hair extensions. And I know that is can be kind of a hot topic amongst hairstylists. But when it comes to time, you know, time is not replaceable. Time's not replaceable. So in my years of experience, have I found that if, well, I literally took it uh, literally, Redken's mantra for decades had been work smarter, not harder. Okay. So, and on the idea of giving yourself permission to think about this concept differently, uh, is I'm going to talk to the pain point about, oh, my customers would never. And I want you to lean in right now. They won't if you don't ask. And who are you to assume that they will or won't? Don't make me repeat that, okay? The only one that's going to be the problem for there not being more money in your bank account or in your chair is the person when you look in the mirror. I'm not kidding. Okay. Um, and I want you to think of a time. I don't know if this has happened to you, but it happened to me in my early 20s. Okay. Or I want you to do an experiment. All right. Do this experiment if you have time and you have a mall near you. Go to a mall underdressed, like really underdressed, and walk by a makeup counter. Somebody probably may or may not even pay attention to you. And then go to the mall and be dressed up. And believe you me, there's a point to this story. And you might get a little bit more of attention. Now, where's this story going? Well, there was this one time that I was in a boutique store that sold plastic costume jewelry. I happened to be I was going to be getting married that year, so that goes back to 94. And I happened to be underdressed, and I had a bridesmaid with me. And looked at some necklaces in the case. And the woman behind the counter, I said, "Oh, I'd really like to look at those." And she goes, "Those are expensive." Really? Hmm. Wow. So you don't ever judge a book by its cover. And I can tell you, you just be you. You want people to spend more money with you, be authentic. Okay, be authentic. So what happened at that point? I looked at my bridesmaid at the time and I said, "Do you like those? Do you like those necklaces?" She's like, "Yeah." So me at the time, all of about 23 at the time, 24, I said, "Well, excuse me. Yes, and I'd like to see six of those necklaces, six matching earrings, six set of gloves, and I need six pairs of pantyhose, and I also need six hair accessories. Can you get that for me?" Now, I wouldn't have been snappish, but the moral to the story is this. If you ever judge or prejudge what somebody will spend, you just might be missing out on an opportunity that can be just wonderful. And if one thing I can tell you is that I've been doing corrective work, and if you take some of these traditional ideas, I'm going to go back to this slide. Traditional services, get that out of your vocabulary. Traditional boring, okay? Work on go into ChatGPT, take some of your ideas that you love to do behind the chair, because I've been at this 3 decades, and may he rest in peace. There was a educator, Roy Peters, and I remember attending his one of his classes years ago. I was like only 20 something at the time, and he said, "You want to know what's new in the industry?" To quote him, "Blondes, brunettes, and redheads." Yep, it's so true. So if you don't want to be traditional, then change up your menu. If you don't want to be traditional, then package some of your services. And if you don't want pushback for raising your price by $5, then the last thing I would ever recommend you do, from my own experience, I'm talking from my own experience, is never ask a salon community how much you should go up on your prices. Because if you want a boatload of opinions that get heated, and then you want more confusion because you're having turmoil about going up on your prices, oh, just save yourself the aggravation. I can tell you from absolute sheer trial, error, fumbling forward to where I am now, that, you know what? I never looked at what another salon in my area was charging. You know why? Because this, when you focus on your customers and you focus on giving such a good shampoo, and you get excited about doing your content even on the days you don't want to, it just take you just got to do it. You got to show up. You have to show up every single day, and you have to rain or shine. And in today's day and age, with the necessity of marketing, if you're struggling and you feel like you're behind, well, here's my website. And I would love to be able to fast track you having to skip mistakes. And maybe it's time that you do switch up how you're doing things at your salon because working on more people is not always the answer. It's sometimes going back to the drawing board with a little side of ChatGPT or and bouncing it off of somebody that's already been there, done that. And you know something, you might even find that by doing that, which I can tell you might feel scary, it might feel really uncomfortable because it's much easier to just keep doing what you're doing, but then you're not getting where you want to go. Or maybe you were hungry at one point, but you've just lost that passion. It's much easier if you don't do that by yourself. So, so yeah. So I'm here for you. Thanks for watching. If you haven't yet subscribed to my YouTube channel, you can head over to thinkyourwaytoamillion.com. And if you've been following me on Facebook, thank you very much. If you've left a comment, please know that I will follow up with you as at the end of the broadcast. Have an amazing day.